Welcome back to the John Gets Games playthrough for Daimyo. At this point, we have gone through 1 out of the 5 rounds in the game in a tutorial video where I also taught most of the rules. So if you missed that, then you can find a link for it down below in the description, or you can click the eye up there in the top corner. As always, I would like to ask that you please turn on the Klingon subtitles. I might make mistakes as I play through the rest of the game, and that will let me put corrections on the screen where you should be able to see them, and that will make this as accurate a playthrough experience as possible. Alright, let's jump back into the game.
At this point, we are starting the second round out of 5 in the game, and the first thing that we have to do is collect all of the dice and roll them in the middle of the table. So let's see what the options will be for this round. Well, it seems like there are a lot more higher value dice in this round than there was in the first. Next up, we can start taking player turns, and the blue player has the mighty helmet, so they can start this off. After considering these options, they are going to take a red 5, and with it, they are going to do construction. Now, before they do their main action, they are going to do a bonus action with a hero card. This shows a 5 matching up there, and that simply lets them increase their storage value by 1. So that means they have gone up to 5, and they now have room to place a 4th relic right over here, but at the moment it does not look like there are any yellow 2s on the board or in the black market. Next up, they will do some construction, and they are going to start by building a techno farm. This is going to cost them 2 crystals as well as 1 metal, and this is the one they've decided to place. Now that means they can put this bonus out, which lets them do a construct action at a discount of 1 less crystal or 1 less metal. So they can place this out, and they want it right over here, so they can potentially gather resources and then use it to construct a building on the same turn later on in the game. Next up, they do have to place this techno farm down into an empty production spot, and they are going to go right over here. Now, after that happens, they will immediately gain 1 of the associated resource, so that will give them 1 metal, and that's finished up that construction. Now, after that, they have 2 metal and 1 crystal available, so they have exactly what they need to construct their first radio tower, and they've decided to build this one, and they will put this bonus, which lets you take 2 rice, right over here in their recruitment area. After that, they have to place this radio tower down somewhere, and they are going to put it right over here. So that means they will gain 2 influence in the red island area. So that brings them up to 2, and they are still in second place to the green player, but they're just 2 influence away. Well, that's finished up their turn, so now we get to go. So we have to choose a die, and we should also take a look at the cards in our hand. It is always good to play a hero card if you can, and we have a 3, a 5, and a 7. Now we can get a 5 easily by taking one of these right over here, and then on our next turn, if we took a 2, then that would let us play out the 7. So I think that's going to be a pretty good plan for us. So the question is, do we take a red or a green 5? And considering we currently have 4 rice, I think let's take a red so that we can do some recruitment. So we'll put it right over here, and then before we do our main action, let's do our hero bonus action. This one has a 5, so it matches up, and it says we can recruit 1 unit with any resource of our choice, not just rice. So I think we should do that now, considering this is just going to cost us 1 of that other resource. And I figure let's go ahead and use a crystal just to keep things balanced. Now that means we can move this over here, and I do think we should place a governor out. And with this, let's go down onto a spot that will make us a crystal so that we can get that back when we do a production in order to make some techno farms. Now, we could go over here or there, but I think this might be a better idea considering there's already been 1 shadow arrive over here. So that means the next shadow would only give 1 coin instead of 3. That means we are slightly more protected from an opponent trying to assassinate a governor. Now, after we land, we are going to gain 2 influence, which brings us up to here. And now we can do our main recruitment action. As you can see, we do have 4 rice, so that is exactly enough to do 2 more recruitments. So we can start by pushing this forward once, and we can spend 2 rice. And I think let's place another governor. And with it, let's head over to the purple island again, because once again, we are slightly less likely to be assassinated over there. Now that lines us up to make some metal in the future, and that will give us 2 more influence, which puts us in the lead on that island track. After that, we can recruit once again, and I figure we should, so we can spend this 2 rice, which brings that over there. And at this point, we could recruit another governor, or we could, of course, recruit a shadow. Now, we only get 3 shadow recruitments all game long, but if we do these early, then we are more likely to get one of those 3 coin spots, which is a nice way to get a bunch of coins. Now, that is especially the case when you consider that after we do our next recruitment, we will want to spend a couple of coins to get this token back over here to make future recruitments cheaper. Now, instead of taking a shadow, we could place another governor out because we are planning on doing a production action, hopefully on our next turn. So that would be yet another resource that we would generate on our next turn. Now, these are both good options, but I think at this point, let's go with the governor. We can keep these shadows in our back pocket for later on in the game when there is a lot more points on the line for those influence majorities. So let's look back out to the map, and currently when we produce, we are going to be making 1 rice, 1 coin, 2 crystals, and a metal. So I certainly don't think we should put this down onto a crystal spot. Now we could put it down onto a metal spot. I suppose that would make it easier for us to try and get more buildings constructed, or we could go down onto more rice to get more of these recruitments going. I think between those two options, I am slightly more in favor of gaining metal, although the spots we'd want to do that in are the green island or the yellow island. That's because those are the only 2 islands that we are not currently in first at on the influence tracks, and unfortunately, neither of them have an open metal spot. Now, it does feel like a bit of a waste of influence to go down onto either of these, so let's not take metal. I guess instead, maybe let's go for the coin, considering we did not take the shadow on this turn. So yeah, I think let's head right over here to the yellow island, and that is going to increase our influence by 2, so we are now tied with the orange player. All right, we are done with our turn, so now the orange player can go, and they've decided to take the other red 5. Just like us, they are going to do some recruitment, and it appears they have a whopping 6 rice over here at their disposal. So they can start by spending 1 rice to do their first recruitment, and they will send out this governor. And they've decided to send them up here to the purple island. So that will give them 2 influence over there. And then they will recruit again, which will cost them another rice. This will be another governor, which they will send to the red island onto this metal production spot. So that gives them 2 more influence. And they are going to keep on going with recruitments. So this next one will cost them 2 rice, and they will send another governor out, which they have decided to place right over here onto a rice production spot, which will give them 2 more influence on the red island. And then for the last time this round, they are going to spend 2 rice in order to recruit one more time. And instead of placing a shadow, they are going to place another governor. After considering their options, they are going to head over here onto a crystal production spot, and that gives them 2 influence on the green island. Well, it looks like orange is done, and they're not going to take any bonus actions, so now the blue player can go. After considering their options, they are going to take this green 6, and with it they are going to produce. So that means they will gain 1 resource for every location with a governor, and 1 resource for every location with a techno farm. This means they will gain 1 rice, 2 metal, a crystal, as well as a 3rd metal over here. So they can add all of this down into their area, and then for a bonus action, they can build 1 building at a 1 crystal or 1 metal discount. In this case, the only thing they can afford to build is a radio tower, and that means they will spend 2 metal and a crystal, and they will not spend the extra metal from that extra cost. And the one they've decided to go with is this one. So they are going to take this bonus and put it down over here. So that means every time for the rest of the game when they do their clan action, they will gain 2 extra coins. So they can build this radio tower out onto any empty building spot, and they've decided to go over here. So that is going to give them 2 influence on the blue island. Next up, they are going to do another bonus action, and this is a hero card. That shows a 5, which they do have, and this says they can draw 3 relic tiles from the bag, and they can keep 1 of those, and then discard the others back to the bag. So they can dig into the bag to look at 3 different options, and it looks like they got lucky because they were hunting for a yellow 2. Now, the odds were kind of in their favor considering we haven't seen any yellow 2s yet, which means there are more of them in the bag, but either way, they are going to take this one, and the other 2 will be put back into the bag. Once that happens, we can see they currently have a storage limit of 5, so they can hold all 5 of these tokens, and then they have restored this relic. So they can flip over all of these, and then they can place 1 of these relic tokens out onto the yellow island. This does appear to be the first yellow relic done, so that means they are going to take 3 influence, which will put them into the lead. Well, blue is done with her turn, so now we can go. And my plan was to take this green 2 so that we could produce, and we could add that 2 to the 5 that we have already in order to play this hero card, which would give us 1 resource from the island where our scavenger currently is. On the face of it, that does seem like a good plan, but that would also mean that we would be going into our third turn with 7 pips on our dice. So that means if we want to do our clan ability, we would need to pull in a 6, and there is only one 6 available. Now, the fact that that 6 is blue means I think maybe this turn instead, let's take that blue 6 in order to do this ability and grab the Mighty Helmet. And then on our next turn, I think odds are pretty good that that green 2 will still be out there. And if it isn't, then we can just take another green die to produce, and we will still make out more resources from our clan effect than we would have from this hero card. So let's grab that blue 6, and that means we will gain 1 storage slot, and then we can draw a card from the top of our deck. That is another one that wants a 3, and there are not many 3s available this round. I suppose we could ditch a card to increase a 2 that we could draft into a 3 to activate one of these heroes. Now we can figure out if that's a good idea or not on our next turn, and now we can move on and perform one of the village tile actions. Well, these are our 3 options. We can draw 2 cards from our deck, which doesn't seem too powerful. We could increase our storage by 1, which does seem good. And the other option is we could move a governor and then take 1 resource of the associated spot to where that governor landed. Now, that does seem pretty good, but at the moment I'm feeling relatively happy about where our governors are. So I think let's just take this one. So that means our storage size will be increased by 1, and this will flip over so that the ability to grab a relic from where your scavenger is once again available. So let's increase our storage by 1, and lastly we can take the Mighty Helmet token. So this means we can decide who will be the starting player going into the third round of the game. Now this die should actually be up there, and we can see that we don't have a bonus action here. And if we wanted to, we could get rid of 2 of our cards to lower this 5 down to a 3 in order to activate one of these abilities, but I just don't think that's a good use of our resources right now. So I think instead, let's just end our turn. This means the orange player can go, and they want to take this green 5. With that, they are going to produce. This means they will gain 2 crystals, a coin, 2 rice, and a medal. So they can add all of this down into their area, and after that they can activate this bonus, which will give them 2 more coins. Next up, they are going to play a hero card. This one needs a 10, and they do have that exactly between these 2 dice, and that says they can spend 2 of their metal in order to take 3 more coins. So they can add that right under here, and that's finished up their turn. This means it's the blue player's last turn of the round, and they are going to take this green 2. And they've decided to go for a relic action. Before they do that main action, though, they are now going to activate their clan ability because they have 13 or more pips on their dice. In this case, they have exactly 13. So they will gain 1 storage spot, they can draw the top card from their deck, and they can take 2 coins from this bonus token right over there. After that, they might play a hero card, and they are indeed going to do that. In this case, they are going to play their 7, which says they can gain 1 relic tile from any island. In this case, they actually want to grab a relic from the island they are currently at. They are going to grab this red 3, and then we can refill that spot in with a new relic. This is a red 4, so there are 2 of them on that island. Next up, they can do their main action, which means they can move their scavenger twice. With the first move, they are going to head over to the yellow island, and then they are going to pick up this tile right here. After that, this can be refilled immediately, and that is going to show a red 1. And after that, they are going to spend a metal or a crystal, which in this case will be a metal, and that lets them discard 2 tiles from their current island into the black market. In this case, they are going to discard both of these, and then of course 2 new tiles will come out of the bag. And then they are going to spend a coin in order to purchase a tile from the black market, so they'll take this red 1. Next up, they can move their scavenger again, and they're going to head back to the red island and pick up one of these red 4s, and then that needs to be refilled. In this case, that is going to be a red 1. So they can look down at their storage where they currently have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things, and that matches their current storage limit of 6. They can then flip this over, and they have restored their second relic of the game. So that means they can place a relic token out onto the red island. And this is the first one over there, so that gives them 3 influence, which puts them in the lead at 5. Well, blue is done, so now we can take our last action of the round, and I think we should take this green 4. We were hoping that green 2 would still be there, but it looks like that was not the case because blue grabbed it on their last turn. Now, it's true we could have taken this red 2, but the only thing we could have done with it is take 2 rice or do a construct action, which we don't actually have the materials to supply. So let's place this right over here, and now let's produce where every one of our governors is. And we would also produce where our techno farms are, but we haven't actually built any of those yet. So we could look out to the map where we are going to get a metal, 2 crystals, 2 coins, as well as 1 rice. So we can add this down onto our board, and then after that, you'll notice we easily have 13 or more pips, so that means we could do our clan ability, which lets us take 2 metal, or 2 crystals, or 2 more food. Now, at the moment, we have 3 crystals and 2 metal, so I think let's just take 2 more metal to have a lot of resources so that we can do a big construction action in the next round. So let's place these over here, and now let's do a bonus action with a hero. As you can see, right now we cannot play any of our heroes, but I think let's discard this card right over here in order to lower this 4 down to a 3. Once that happens, we can play this card, which says we can draw a hero card and then gain 1 rice. So that does mean we have to shuffle up the discard pile and then draw a card, and it is the one that lets us recruit, and then we can take 1 more rice. So we can place that right over here, and that has finished up our turn. This means orange can take the last action of the round, and they are going to take the blue 4. So they can place this right over here, and before they do their main action, they will activate their clan bonus action. So they obviously have more than 13 pips, they have 14, and this lets them move a governor, and then they can take 2 resources of the spot where they move that governor to. In this case, they are going to move this governor over there, so that means their influence on the red island goes down by 2, and it goes up on the blue island. Now that is going to give them 2 metal, which they can add into their area. After that, they can do this main action, which means they gain 1 storage spot, and then they can draw a card. So they have to shuffle up their discard pile and then draw 1, and after that, they can activate a village tile. In this case, they've decided to activate this one, which lets them move a governor and then take 1 resource where they land, so that can flip over, and they are going to move this governor over to the green island, so that means they lose 2 influence on the yellow island, and they gain 2 influence over here. Next up, they will take 1 rice from the supply, and that's finished out their main action. At this point, they have now decided that they are going to be ditching 2 cards from their hand in order to lower a die value down by 2. In this case, they will make this 4 go down to a 2, and now they are going to play this card, which needs a 7, and they can do that with the 5 and the 2. Now this says they can move their scavenger and then gain 1 relic from its island. So orange will move their scavenger over to the red island, and they will take this purple 4. After that, we have to refill that spot, so there is another red tile, wow, 3 of them over there on the red island. And then down here, the orange player can store this 4th relic because they did increase their storage once, and they have now completely restored their first relic of the game. So that means they can put one of these tokens out onto the purple island. That's right over here, and this will give them 3 influence, which brings them up to 5, which puts them into first place. Well, orange is done, and now that there is 1 die left on the island, that means that the second round is also over. This means we can go into the end of round steps, and the first thing that we do is score each of the islands. Now, I've already checked, and I do believe the influence counts are correct, so we can look up here, and the blue player is in first, so they will get 2 points, which brings them up to 6, and then after that, the orange player is in second, so they will get 1 point, which brings them to 3. Moving on to the purple island, orange will get 2 points because they are in first, and we get 1 point for being in second. After that, on the yellow island, blue is in first, so they gain 2 points, and green is in second, so they gain 1. After that, on the red island, orange is in first, so they will gain 2 points, and then after that, blue will get 1 point for being in second. Finally, there is the blue island, where we are in first, so we will gain 2 points, and then blue is in second, so they gain 1 point, and at the end of the second round of the game, it looks like we are all within 2 points of each other. Next up, we can all simultaneously take resources. We will obviously get a coin, a crystal, and a metal from these, and then we can choose to take another metal, crystal, or rice, and I think let's go with a rice. That way we have 3 rice, which is enough to do another recruitment action in the next round. At the same time we are doing that, so are our opponents. It looks like the orange player is going to take a metal, and the blue player is going to take a crystal. Next up, we get to decide who will go first in the next round. Now, it is true that going later in the round gives you more control over the influence tracks, but going earlier on in the round gives you more control as to what dice you get to choose from. So I think at this point, we will go first in the next round. After that, we can start purchasing heroes, and we get to go first. In this case, it looks like we have 3 coins to spend. And unfortunately, that means we only have one option. Now, this is certainly not a bad card, so let's go for it. That is going to cost us 2 coins, so we keep 1. And this says that if we make 10 with our dice, then we can move one of our relic tokens. After that, we can refill the market, and then the orange player can buy. And they have a whopping 8 coins to spend. In this case, they are going to start out by spending 5 of this in order to buy this hero. That says that whenever they match an 8 and activate it, they can activate one of the village tiles on the middle island. After that, we can refresh the market, and the orange player does have 3 more coins that they could spend if they wanted to. In this case, they've decided to go for it. They are going to spend 2 out of these 3, and they want to purchase this card. That simply says they gain 1 popularity point, and they do need to make 8 happen on their dice, just like the other card they already pulled. So we can now refresh the market once again, and now the blue player can buy, and they were really hoping that there would be an option for them to purchase a card with just 2 coins, but unfortunately for them, all of these cost at least 3, so they are not going to be buying any cards this round. Well, the last thing that we have to do is have everybody draw 1 card from the top of their deck, and now we can move into the third round of the game. And as you can see, at the end of the round, being first on the influence track gives 3 points instead of 2 like we saw before, and second place gives 2. That means if 2 players tie for second, they will actually get points, whereas they were not getting any points in the previous rounds. Well, let's start things off by re-rolling all of the dice in the middle of the table. After that, we can sort all of the dice, and we have a little bit more variety in the die faces in this round. Now, we can start the actions off by taking the first of these dice, and I think we should take a red 5. With this, I think let's do some construction. Now, we currently have 4 crystals and 5 metal, so that is enough to build 1 of our techno farms and 1 radio tower. So let's start off by constructing this techno farm, and that will cost us 2 crystals and 1 metal. This is going to unlock a bonus that lets us do a construction action for 1 less material, and I think let's put it over here. I feel pretty confident we will be able to do this ability, and obviously our clan ability gives us resources that we can use to help fuel that construction. Next up, we can place this onto an empty building location, and let's go over here, and that is going to generate 1 coin for us. After that, let's construct again, and this time we will build a radio tower. So that is going to cost 3 metal and 1 of our crystals. And I think let's build this one. Now that is going to unlock a bonus ability that lets us move our scavenger once, and then we can pick up a relic. Now let's put this right over here so that when we do a relic action, we are able to effectively move the scavenger 3 times to pick up 3 relics with that 1 action. Next up, we can place this into an empty building spot, and I think we will go over to the yellow island. After we do that, we will generate 2 influence over there, so that is going to put us in the lead. After that, we don't have enough resources to construct again, but we can do a bonus action because we do have this card that shows a 5, and that is the die that we picked. This lets us recruit 1 unit with the resources of our choice, and in this case, I think we are actually just going to spend our rice. We have 3 rice, and that is the current price, so that lets us recruit 1 unit, and I think it's now time to bring out a shadow. So we can place this down into a rough neighborhood, and I don't see an amazing play at this moment. The main reason we are doing this is because this is going to generate us 3 coins, and I want to have those coins to be able to buy some relics the next time we go relic hunting, which I do hope will be soon. Now, in this case, I think the best option for us at the moment is to head over to the yellow area. That means we will get 3 coins, and then we can assassinate the blue player, which means they lose 2 influence, and then they do get 1 rice as a consolation prize. So we can place this right over here, and at this point, let's spend 2 of our coins in order to move this over there. Remember, you can only do this once you have done at least one recruitment at a cost of 3, and you can spend these coins at any point in time after that during the same turn. So we can spend these coins, and that means our next recruitment is going to be nice and cheap. All right, I think we are done with our turn. Next up, orange can pick a die, and they want a green 5. And with this, they are going to do production. Now, this is going to give them 2 coins as a bonus, and then they will get resources for their techno farms and governors. This means they will get a crystal, 2 metal, 2 rice, and a coin. So they can place all of that right over here, and that's finished out their turn because they aren't going to take any more bonus actions. Next up, blue can go, and they want this blue 6. Now they're going to put that right over here, and that is going to increase their storage by 1. They can also draw a card, and that means they have to shuffle up their discard pile. They can take this card here, and then they can activate 1 village tile. In this case, they've chosen this one, which will give them a coin or a rice. Now they are going to take the rice, and then this will flip over. So they can place that here, and then they are going to take the mighty helmet away from us. Now, at this point, they can do a bonus action, and they've decided to discard a card in order to lower their die. That means the 6 will go down to a 5, and now they can play this card, which wants a 5, and that lets them draw 3 relic tiles from the bag, and then they can keep one and then discard the other 2 back to the bag. So they can draw 3 tiles out, and realistically, they were hoping for a green, but they got yellow and red. After looking at the board, they've decided to take this red one, and they are allowed to take that even though they already had a red one, because of course this red one is part of an already completed relic. Then the other 2 will go into the bag, and that's finished out the blue player's turn. All right, we can go now, and I think let's take this 3. That will let us play this card out, which lets us move up to 2 of our towers to better spots to vie for these tracks. And when we add this 3 to the 5, that gives us 8. So that means on our last turn, we just need a 5 or better. And we have a couple of chances to do that. We could even maybe take this 4 and then increase the value of that by discarding a card. Either way, I think this is probably the best move for us right now. So let's place this right over here on the relic hunting spot. Before we do that, I think let's use this card, so now we can move up to 2 of our towers. And honestly, at the moment, both of our towers are not doing a lot for us in these areas. So I think let's move this one over here. That means we lose 2 influence on the yellow island, and we are still in the lead, and we gain 2 influence on the purple island, which puts us in the lead. After that, let's move this token over to the green island. The reason for that is because both of our opponents have quite a bit of influence over here already, and there's less of that to compete with over on the green island. So we will gain 2 influence there, and now let's do our main action to gather relics. So when I look out here, I can see that there is a green 1, a green 2, a green 3, and a green 4. So that is my goal, to try and restore that relic on this turn. Now, at the moment, we are right over here. So for our first move, let's go over to the purple island, and then we can grab this green 1. After that, we of course have to refill that spot in, and this is a yellow 4. Next up, let's spend a crystal in order to discard 2 of these to the black market. And in this case, I figure we'll discard the green 4 and the blue 4. After that, we have to put 2 new tiles out onto the purple island. That is a green 2 and a yellow 3. Next up, we can spend 1 of our coins in order to buy something from the black market. And let's grab this green 2. So that's finished our first scavenger move, and now let's head back over to the green island, and we can pick up this green 3. After that, we have to refill that spot in, and that is a purple 2. And now the last thing that we need is this green 4 in order to restore that relic. So let's spend a coin, which will let us buy this from the black market. Remember, you can only buy from the black market once per main action scavenger move. So we can place that 4 right over here, and we have completely restored this green relic on this turn. As you can see, we have 5 space worth of stuff, and we have 6 in our storage, so we are fine. So that means we can flip all of these over, and now this just takes up 1 storage spot, and then we can place this out onto the green island. This is the first token placed over here, so that means we will get 3 influence, and that'll bring us up to 5, which puts us in the lead. Well, we finished out this main action, but we now have this bonus action, which lets us move the scavenger 1 more time, and then we can pick up a relic from the spot that we land them on. Well, it looks like there is enough yellow out here to make another restored relic, so let's pick up 1 of those pieces, and I think let's head over to the purple island for the moment, and we can grab this yellow 4. All right, that's finished up our turn, so now the orange player can go. And they've decided to take this red 2. Well, they've decided they want to do some construction, and after they land here, they will activate this bonus, which gives them +2 to their storage. Next up, they have decided to discard one of their hero cards in order to increase the value of this by 1, so that makes this a 3, and then they are going to play this hero card, which says as long as they have 8, which they do with the 5 and the 3, they can now activate one of the village tiles on the central island on the board. After looking at their options, they want to activate this one, which lets them move a governor once, and then they take one resource from the spot they land on. In this case, they are going to move this governor over there. That is going to lower their influence here and rise it on the blue island, and then they will gain 1 metal. After that, they can do their main construction action, and they have 5 crystals and 7 metal available to them. That means they have enough stuff to construct a techno farm and 2 of their 3 remaining radio towers. Well, they'll start with the techno farm, so that is going to cost them 3 of their crystals along with a metal, and then they are going to place this building out. That does unlock this token, which they will put over here, so now they generate an extra coin during revenue. So they can put this onto an empty building spot, and if they want to build 2 radio towers, they need this to be a metal production spot, and they'll just go right over here. So that is going to give them a metal back, which will bring them back to 7. Now they are going to build this radio tower, and that is going to cost them 3 of their metal along with 1 crystal, and then this will go over here. So now they've increased their revenue at the end of a round by a crystal and a metal as well. Next up, they can place this onto the board, and they've decided to go back to the red island, which will put them back into first place. After that, they can construct again because, as you can see, the next radio tower will cost 4 metal total, which they have, and 1 crystal. So that means they're going down to nothing. They've spent a bunch on this turn, and they can build one of these 2 towers. After considering these options, they've decided to do what the blue player did, and they will put this rice bonus token onto their recruitment spot. Next up, they can place this out onto the board, and they've decided to go to the purple island, and that will put them in the lead over there. Well, that's finished up a big turn for the orange player, and now the blue player can go, and they have these dice to choose from. In this case, they are going to grab the red 6 in order to do a recruitment action. Now, the first thing they will do is take 2 rice as a bonus action, and then they are going to start recruiting. The first of these is going to cost them 2 of their rice, and then this will slide over here, and they've decided to place out a governor. And with this, they are going to head down here, and that will increase their influence on this island by 2, which puts them in the lead. Next up, they will do this again, and that is going to cost them 3 of their rice, and they will also spend their 2 coins in order to pay this cost to reset this back over here. Now they can send out a governor or a shadow, and they've decided to go with the governor. And with this, they are going to head over to the green island, and that will put them in the lead when they gain that 2 influence. At this point, blue has decided they are done with their turn. That means we can go and we can choose our last die for the round. Now, realistically, the 2 dice that I'm most interested in are this green 4 and that red 5, because both of those would get us up to 13 pips. Of course, with the 4, we would have to get rid of one of our cards to make that happen. Now, the red 5 would do it without discarding a card, but a red die would have to go here or there, and we are obviously not in a good spot to do recruitment. We could get a couple rice, which doesn't seem great, so I think instead let's take that green 4 so that we can do a production, which will give us a bunch of stuff, and then, of course, we will have to discard a card in order to get that up to 13. Well, in this case, I think let's discard the card that lets us move our relics. I don't think we really need to do that right now. And then we can increase this 5 over here up to a 6. That way we are up to 13, and we still have a 7 available to activate this card later on in our turn. So let's do our production action. This means we will gain a metal, a coin, and a crystal. We will get another coin and another crystal over there. Then there is a coin down here and a rice. So we can add all of this back down into our area, and now it's time to do bonus actions. Now I think let's play this card here. So we obviously have the 7 to make that happen, and it says we can gain a resource from our scavenger's current island. Currently our scavenger is on the purple island, and I think let's grab a metal. That's going to bring us up to 3, and with a discount, that will let us build a radio tower later on in this turn. Now, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. We can now move on to the next bonus action, which is, of course, going to be our clan action. Now, for this, we can take 2 metal, 2 rice, or 2 crystals, and we have enough of these materials to build, so let's take 2 rice. So we can put these down right here, and now we can build 1 building at a discount of 1. As you can see, the next radio tower is going to cost 4 metal, and we have 3, so we can discount that 1 metal with this bonus action, and then of course spend 1 crystal, and that means we can play one of these two. In this case, I think we are going to do what our opponents did, and we'll send this one over here to generate rice when we do recruitment. Next up, we can place this radio tower out, and with it, I think let's go to the green island in order to put ourselves once again in first place there. The reason we targeted this island instead of that one is because we can tell the orange player has the ability to recruit more on their turn, while the blue player does not have enough stuff to do that. So if we competed with orange, we might lose, but here I feel pretty confident we will take first on that track. Well, it's time for orange to go, and they want this red 5, and with it, they are going to recruit. Now, this is going to activate right here, giving them 2 rice. And then before they do their main action, they are going to play this card. That needs an 8, and they do still have that, so they can now gain 1 popularity point. So orange is now tied with us at 8. All right, they can now start recruiting, and they will start by spending 3 rice in order to recruit a governor, and then they are going to spend 2 of their coins to reset this track. With this, they are going to head up to the yellow island, and that will put them into second place. And then they will spend another rice in order to recruit again. In this case, they want to send out a shadow, and with it, they are going to go to the blue island. So they can go right over here, which is going to give them 3 coins, and they are going to assassinate us. So that means we are going to gain 1 rice as a consolation prize. We will lose 2 influence, and then orange will gain 1 influence, which means we are tied. Now that is great for orange because they break the tie because they have more shadows here than we do. Next up, they are going to recruit again, which will cost them 2 more of their rice, and they are going to send out another governor. After looking at their options, they are going to head over here, which is going to put them in the lead. Next up, the orange player has exactly 13 pips, so that lets them do this clan action, which lets them move a governor once, and then they take 2 resources of the spot where they land. In this case, they've decided to move over to the yellow island, and they don't really want more rice, but it's the only option for them over here. So that means they go down to 0 influence on the green island, and they go into first place on the yellow island, and then they do take that 2 rice. Well, they are done, so blue can take the last action of the round, and they want this green one. And with it, they are going to do a production action. Now, before they do anything else, they are going to discard this card here to increase the value of this to 2, and now they have 13 pips. So they can perform this, which will give them 2 coins. It will also increase their storage up to 8, and then they can draw a card into their hand. Well, they are happy with the card they found because this needs a 7, and they can make that out here. So this says they can gain a relic tile from any island, and they are going to do that. In this case, they want this 2, so they can take that, and it'll match up with the red 1 that they already have. And after that, we can refill that spot in with a new tile. In this case, that is going to be a purple 4. Moving on, the blue player can now do their production, and they are going to get a food, a metal, and a crystal, another metal up there, and then a coin, and 1 more metal down here. So that is a bunch of metal for them overall, and now they can do this action, which lets them construct a building at a discount of 1. Well, the round is almost over, so they've decided to play one of their radio towers. This is going to cost them 4 metal, so they can spend 3 and then discount it by 1. They can then spend a crystal as well, and then they will play this one so that they can gain this revenue at the end of the round. Well, it looks like blue is going to put this onto the last open building spot on the red island, and that will put them into the lead on that influence track. Blue is now done with their turn, and it looks like we are coming to the end of the 3rd round of the game. This means it's time to score the islands, and we can see the first place person is going to get 3 points, and second place will get 2. So we can look over here to the green island, where we are in the lead, so we get 3 points. That means we are going to go up to 11, and blue is in second place, so they are going to also go up to 11. After that, on the purple island, Orange is in first place, so they will gain 3 points, bringing them up to 11. And then we are in second, so we will get 2 points, which brings us up to 13. After that, Orange is in first place on the yellow island, so that will give them 3 points, bringing them up to 14. And we are in second, so we get 2 points, bringing us to 15. Next up, there is the red island, where blue is in first, so they get 3 points, bringing them to 14, and orange is in second, so they get 2 points, bringing them to 16. Finally, there is the blue island, where we are tied with the orange player for first. Now, in this case, the orange player breaks that tie because they have more shadows than us, so that means orange is going to get 3 more points, bringing them up to 19, and we are in second, so we get 2 points, bringing us to 17. So the scores are a little bit more spread out, and the orange player did a very good job with the scoring in that round. After that, it's time for revenue. So we will get a coin, a crystal, and a metal, and then one of these of our choice. And I think let's take another crystal to try and get more of these techno farms built. While we are doing that, so are our opponents. It looks like the orange player has both of these revenue benefits in place. So they are going to get 2 coins along with a metal and a crystal, and they will take a crystal. And then over here, the blue player is going to get their coin as well as these from their bonus, and they've decided to also take a crystal. Moving on, the blue player has the mighty helmet, so they can decide who will go first, and they've decided they want the orange player to go first. They could have gone with us so that they would be the last to act in the next round, but they decided to hedge their bets and go second to last. After that, we can purchase heroes, and the orange player gets to start this off because they do have the mighty helmet. We can see here that they currently have 4 coins available to them, and they've decided to spend all 4 of that to grab this, which lets them move up to 2 of their governors when they can make a 6 with their dice. After that, this will be put into play, and then the blue player can buy. They have 4 coins available to them, which means they can purchase most of these cards, and they've decided to spend 3 of their coins to purchase this card. That says that when you show a 9 on your dice, you can gain 1 gold for every shadow that you have in play. Currently, they have 1 shadow in play, and as we approach the end game, I'm sure we will see many more. So we can bring this out, and now we are last to buy. At the moment, we have 5 coins available, which means we could purchase any of these cards. Well, there are some pretty cool options out here. This one lets you collect resources where your towers are, and you have to show an 11, and we do have 3 of our 4 towers out. This one is also interesting. You need to just have a 3 showing, and it lets you construct 1 building with any resources of your choice. At the moment, we do have 4 buildings left to construct, and that would let us do something like spend rice to build a building if we have more rice than we need for recruitment. Because of that flexibility, I think let's buy this one instead of that one. That one is tempting, but yeah, let's spend all 5 of our coins purchasing this one here. After that, we can place this right over here, and we are now all done purchasing. This means the final thing that we have to do is draw 1 card, so a couple of us need to shuffle up our discard piles, and then obviously the blue player just draws that one there. Alright, let's move into the 4th round of the game, and at the end of this round, players will get 4 points for being first on the influence track, and 2 points for being second. So let's roll all of the dice in the middle of the table, and then we can sort them. It looks like we have quite a few of the lower numbers this time. After that, the orange player can choose a die first, and they've decided to go with a green 4. With this, they are going to produce, and the first thing they will do is take 2 coins from this bonus action. So those will go here. Next up, they will produce, and it appears they're going to make 9 different resources. Up here, they will make a coin, then they will make some rice and a crystal. Down here, they make a rice, 2 metal because they have their farm there, as well as another metal, and then over here, that is another metal and a crystal. So they can add all of this into their area, and that is a bunch of metal that they have. Now, they could do another bonus action, but they've decided against it, so they've now finished out their turn. This means blue can go, and they want to take the other green 4, and with it, they are going to produce as well. Now, they are going to start by doing this bonus action here, which lets them build a building at a discount of 1, and they've decided to build this farm here. Now that is going to cost them 3 crystals and 1 metal, but they are going to spend 2 crystals and a metal because of that discount, and then they are going to put this bonus down over here, which would let them do a recruitment at a -1 rice cost. So they can put this onto an empty building spot, and we are starting to have less of those available out here, but they are happy to go down here. That is a crystal production spot, so they will immediately generate one crystal, and now they can do their main production. So it looks like they are going to get 7 resources. Those are going to be metal, rice, crystals, then another metal, then down over here that is a third metal, then a coin, and a second crystal. So they can add all of this back over to their area, and at this point, they've decided to not take any more actions. They do have 2 cards in their hand, but it does not look like either of them match up with 4, and they've decided not to discard one in order to manipulate that die either. This means it's time for us to go, and I think let's take one of these blue 3s. That way we can perform this action on our turn, and this is also a particularly good village tile for us right now. That will let us pick up this yellow 3, and we already have a yellow 4, so I think this is going to be a pretty good turn for us. So let's place that right over here, and then we can do this action. So that will increase our storage by 1. Then we can draw the top card of our deck, and this one is associated with a 7 on our dice. And now we can activate that village tile. As I said before, we should activate this one here because that lets us take a relic from the no man's land where our scavenger is. So we can take this one, and I just realized that there should be another one filled in over there. Sorry about that. So that should be a yellow 4. Now we actually already have a yellow 4, so that's not going to change our plan. We can just grab this yellow 3 and then fill that spot in with a purple 3. So we can put this right over here, and we just need the yellow 1 and 2 to restore this relic, and both of those are out there on the map. So it's possible we might go relic hunting on our next turn. Either way, the last thing that we do is take the Mighty Helmet, and this is also important because this is the second to last round, so that means we will decide who will be the first and last player going into the final round of the game, and it's possible we will make ourselves the last player for vying for those influence majorities. Either way, we can make that decision later on, and now let's play this card, which matches up with the 3, and that says we can construct one building with any resources of our choice instead of the specific resources that it needs. Now, this means we could potentially build our last radio tower if we wanted to. We could spend the 1 out of the 5 metal that we need and then spend our 4 rice. Now, that does mean that we would be potentially recruiting 2 less times in this round to get out that radio tower, and each of those recruitments could get us a governor, which adds 2 influence. So I'm not sure if that makes sense, but it is worth noting that it's kind of hard for us to generate metal right now, so if we don't make this in this way, then it's possible we might not get this radio station built before the end of the game. While that is tempting, I think let's save our rice and build a farm instead. This means we have to spend 1 metal and 3 crystals, and we can spend rice to make up for any of these if we want to, but I think we are just going to spend the associated materials. If we spend 1 rice, then that is 1 less recruitment that we could potentially do during this round, and I think recruiting is going to be pretty important in order to vie for those majorities at the end of the round. That's especially true when you consider we are going to take the last action of the round, and if we recruit with that action, we could certainly grab a bunch of points by gaining some majorities on the influence tracks. So let's construct one of these farms, and I think we'll go with this one. And we can put this 1 recruitment with a discount action over here on the production spot. Now let's place out this farm, and I think we should head up here in order to gain a medal. All right, that's finished up our turn, so now the orange player can draft a die, and they've decided to take this red 5. With this, they are going to do construction, and that will activate this bonus, which will give them 2 storage space. And then they have decided to build this radio tower. Now, that is going to cost them 5 metal, and they do indeed have that, along with 1 crystal, which they can also spend. And then they are going to follow our lead by putting this relic hunter bonus onto the relic spot. Now, they can place this out onto the board, and they've decided to place it over here onto the blue island, so that will give them 2 more influence. After that, they've decided not to play a hero card, and they are done with their other bonus actions, so that means blue can take a die. After considering these options, blue has decided they want a green die, and they are going to send that over here to the relic finding spot. Now, before they even do that, they are going to play this card. That wants a 5, so they can add the 4 to the 1 to get that 5, and that increases their storage by 1. After that, they can start moving their scavenger, and they are going to head over here to the blue island. Now, before they pick up a tile, they've decided to spend one of their crystals in order to discard two of these over to the black market. In this case, they are going to discard these two tiles, which means they can then draw two more out of the bag, and they found a red 3 and a yellow 1. Well, they are very happy about that because the red 3 is the thing that they were hunting for, and now they can take this red 3 and then, of course, refill that spot in with a new one, which is going to be a green 2. Next up, they're going to spend a coin in order to take this green 4 from the black market. And at this moment, they are now using 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of their 9 storage spots. Now they can move their scavenger once again, and they are going to send them back over to the red island where they are going to take this red 4. After that, we have to refill this spot in with a new relic, and that is a purple 2. And then they can put their red 4 over here where that is now a fully restored relic. So they can flip all of these over, and that's their second red relic. So they can place this out onto the map, and that will go into the red area, which means they get 2 more influence there. And realistically, that did not help them because they were already in first, but they still felt like this was a good opportunity to grab this. When you go from the second to your third restored relic, that alone is worth 5 points. And if they get up to a fourth relic, then that would be a 6-point jump for them. At this point, blue can spend another coin in order to purchase another relic from the black market, and they've decided to go for it. They really would like to get more of these relics restored by the end of the game. So they're going to take this blue 4, and that's finished out their turn. This means we can go and we want to pick up relics. So let's grab the last green die of this round. We can put this right over here, and it's not looking like we are going to get our clan ability activated this round, but either way, we can now perform this. So let's start off with the main action of moving the scavenger twice. In this case, let's head over here in order to grab this yellow 1, and then we can refill that in. After that, we have to refill that spot in, and that's going to be a green 4. And we currently don't have any coins, so it does not make sense to send anything to the black market, and we can't afford to buy the thing that's already in the black market. So let's now move our scavenger again, and let's head over to the yellow island so that we can pick up this yellow 2, and that will finish restoring a relic. But before we get to that, let's refill this spot in, and that is a red 3. Let's now come down here where we have fully restored this yellow artifact, so we can flip all of this over and then place this out onto the yellow island. This seems like a pretty good play for us because that is going to give us 2 influence, which is enough to, for the moment, put us in the lead on that track. Well, we can now do this bonus action, which lets us move our scavenger one more time, and we can pick up another tile. And I think let's head over here, and we can grab this purple 3. There is a purple 2, a 1, and a 4 out here, so we could potentially try to scoop those up in the next round of the game. All right, that's finished up our turn, so now orange can take their last action of the round, and they want this red 4. With that, they are going to recruit, and they are going to begin by taking 2 rice. Once they add those over here, they can immediately spend them to do their first recruitment, which is going to cost 2. And with that, they will send out this governor. With this, they are going to head over to the purple island, and that is going to increase their influence by 2. And then after that, they are going to spend 2 more rice in order to recruit again. At this point, they just have shadows left, so they will recruit this one. And they've decided to go over here, which will give them 3 coins, and then they are going to assassinate a blue governor. So blue will get 1 rice, and then blue will lose 2 influence, and then orange will gain 1, so they are now tied, and orange is winning the tiebreaker because they do have a shadow down here. Next up, they are going to recruit one more time, and this will cost them their remaining rice, and they could spend coins in order to reset this, but considering this is their last piece to send out, they're okay with staying like this. Now, it's certainly possible and probably likely that some of their governors might get assassinated soon, but they still feel like they would rather save their gold. With this shadow, they are now going to head up to the yellow island, and that is going to give them 1 gold, and they are going to assassinate one of our governors. So that means we will get a rice, we are going to lose 2 of our influence, and then orange will gain 1. After that, they've decided not to spend any of their cards, but they are going to do this clan ability because they have at least 13 pips on their dice. This lets them move a governor and then take 2 resources on the spot they land. And they've decided to simply jump over here in order to take 2 coins. Well, that's finished this action, and at this point, Orange has decided they're going to change their mind. They have a lot of coins, and they are going to spend two of them to send this over here. They can do this at any point on a turn where they spent at least three rice right over there, and they can see that both of their opponents have two shadows each, so they feel like this is probably going to be a better way to redeploy the governors that are likely going to be assassinated soon. All right, Orange is done, so now the blue player can go, and they are going to take this red too. With that, they are going to recruit, and the first thing they will do is gain two rice. After that, they are going to go right into recruitment, so they can spend one rice in order to move this forward. And with that, they are going to send out a governor. This is going to go over to the Green Island where they already have three of their governors, so that is a fourth one, and they can gain two more influence, which puts them in the lead. Next up, they are going to spend a rice in order to recruit a shadow, and they're going to go over to the Red Island. This is going to give them one coin, and they are going to assassinate one of the orange governors. In this case, they are going to target this one, and that means the orange player will get one rice. They will then lose two influence, and then blue will gain one influence. Next up, blue is going to spend two more rice to do another recruitment, and they're going to send out their final shadow of the game. That's going to head over to the blue island where they will get one coin, and then they are going to assassinate this governor. So the orange player gets a rice and then loses two influence, and then blue gains one. So at this point, we are all tied, and the orange and blue players are also tied on the most shadows. So at the moment, it looks like they are splitting the first place pot, but of course, we can take our turn after the blue player, so we have a chance to go into first. Well, that's finished up the blue player's turn, so now we can go, and I think we should certainly take this red die, because that will let us recruit, and this is the last action of the round, so this puts us in a pretty strong spot. Now, the first thing that we can do is take two rice for this bonus, and then let's spend one of those to do our first recruitment. In this case, I think let's send out a governor, and I do think we should head over to this island. Let's go onto that metal spot, and that will put us into first once we gain the extra two influence. After that, let's recruit again so we can spend one rice, and I think let's send out a shadow. With this, let's go to the purple island where we will get one coin, and we can assassinate an orange governor, so orange will get one rice, and then orange will lose two influence, and we will gain one, and we are tied with them, and orange does not have any shadows over here, so we are breaking that tie, which means we are currently in first place on this island. Next up, let's spend two more rice in order to recruit again, and I am tempted to send out our last shadow. Now, this would be the last shadow of the game because both of our opponents have sent all three of theirs out. And with this, we could go from second place to first place in a zone, so that would effectively be 2 points. But if we save this, then that could help us vie for a 5 point victory in a zone in the last round of the game. Now, that does seem good, but right now we already have the ability to snipe those 2 points, so I think let's go for it. This means orange will be hit again because we are going to go to the yellow island, and unfortunately this does not give us any coins, but it does give us one influence, and we can take out, I think, this governor, and that's going to give the orange player yet another rice, and they lose two influence, which means we are now in the lead. At this point, we have three rice left, which is enough to recruit again, so let's go for it. This means we have one rice over here, and we can send out a governor. With this, I think we should definitely go over to the Green Island. There's only one spot left for a governor, and after we do that, we will go into the lead on that island, which was a 2 point gain for us. Well, that has finished up a very good turn for us. I'm quite glad the blue player let us be the last player in this round. It's possible that was a mistake on the blue player's part, but either way, we have now finished up our turn, and the round is over because there's one die left out here. This means it's time for scoring, and the player with the most influence on an island will get 4 points, and second most will get 2. We can look over here at the Green Island where we are in first, so we are going to get 4 points, which will bring us from 17 up to 21, and then blue will get 2 points, which brings them up to 16. After that, on the purple island, we are tied with orange, but we have one shadow, and orange does not. That means we win the tie, so we are going to get 4 more points, which brings us up to 25. And then orange gets 2 points, which brings them to 21. Next up on the yellow island, we have a majority, so things are going really well for us. This means we get 4 more points, which brings us to 29, and orange is going to get 2 more points, which brings them to 23. After that, blue is winning down here on the red island, so they are going to get 4 points, which brings them to 20, and orange is in second, so they get 2 points, bringing them to 25, And lastly, we are winning this blue island, so that is 4 more points for us, bringing us to 33, and then our opponents are tied. Now, they both have 1 shadow, so that means they are tied there, and that means they are going to split 2 points up evenly between them, so they will each get 1 point, and that is the current score at the end of this round. So we did very well overall. I'm pretty happy with our current position, obviously, having a pretty sizable lead over the blue player and the orange player, and now we can move on to the revenue step. So we'll make a coin, a metal, and a crystal, and then let's take another metal as that bonus. So we can add these over here. And then orange will get 2 coins along with a crystal and a metal, and then they're going to take another crystal. Lastly, blue gets a coin as well as a crystal and a metal, and they're going to take another metal for that revenue bonus. Next up, we get to decide who will be the starting player in the next round, and I liked going last at the end of that round, so I think let's have the orange player go first so that we go last in the final round of the game. After that, it's time to purchase new heroes, and the orange player can start. We can see they have a whole bunch of coins. It looks like that is 9 total. And they've decided to start by spending 5 of this in order to purchase this card. They need to make an 11 happen with that, and it says you can collect resources from your tower's territories, and they have all 4 of their radio towers deployed. After that, this will go down, and then they are going to spend 3 coins to purchase this card. They need to show a 5 for that, and that lets them draw 3 cards from the top of their deck. After that, this can go over here, and the orange player is done, so they can take their 1 coin back. And then blue can buy, and they have 3 coins available to them. After considering these options, they are going to spend all 3 coins to purchase this card, which lets them gain 2 crystals if they get to 11. Now this will slide over here, and we can now purchase. But we only have 2 coins, and there are no 2-cost cards out here, so it looks like we can't buy anything. Next up, each player can draw 1 card from the top of their deck. And now we can move into the 5th and final round of the game, where the majorities on the islands are worth 5 points, and second places are worth 3 points each. First things first, let's roll all of the dice, and then we can sort them. Well, that is a bunch of 4s, and now the orange player can draft the first die of the round. In this case, they've decided to go with the green 6. With that, they are going to produce, and the first thing they will do is gain 2 coins, and then they can produce where all of their governors and techno farms are. This means they will make a coin, a rice, another rice here. This will make them 2 metal, and lastly, they will get a crystal. So they can add all of this to their supplies. And then they've decided to discard a card in order to make this a 5, and after that, they are going to play this card, which lets them draw 3 cards from the top of their deck. All right, they're done with their turn, so blue can go. And they have decided to take this 6 red. With this, they are going to construct, and before they do that, they will use this ability, which lets them recruit at a -1 discount. So instead of spending 2 rice, they can spend 1, and this will go over here, and now they can place a governor. With this, they've decided to go to the blue island, which will tie them with us for first. They're actually breaking the tie right now since they have 1 shadow there and we don't. Next up, they are going to construct this last radio tower. Now that is going to cost them 5 of their metal along with 1 crystal, and then they are going to put this over here onto the relic scavenging spot. With this, they are going to head over to the green island, and that is going to give them 2 more influence, which puts them back in the lead. Next up, they've decided to spend 1 of their hero cards to lower this 6 down to a 5, and that will let them play this hero card, which lets them draw 3 relic tiles from the bag, and then they can keep 1 and then discard the others back to the bag. So they can pull 3 out, and it looks like they have found a green 3 and another green 3, as well as a blue 4. Well, realistically, they were looking for a green 3, and they found more than they needed, so they are going to keep this one right here and send the other back to the bag. This means they're currently using 7 out of their 9 storage space, so they are fine. All right, it looks like they are done with their turn, which means it's time for us to go, and I think we want this green 3. The reason for that is because this will let us produce, and that 3 matches up with our card, so let's play this right now. This is going to give us 1 rice that we can add right back over here, and then we can draw a hero card, so we have found this one. After that, let's do the main action of production. This means we will gain a rice as well as a crystal, a coin, and 2 metal. Then we will get another coin there, and lastly, we will get one more metal. So we can add all of this over into our area, and now we can do a recruitment at a -1 cost. As you can see, that should cost 3, so we can spend 2, and then I figure let's maybe spend these other 2 coins to reset this. If we do that, then we could possibly come over here to place our last governor on our final turn. Now, it's possible that having these coins would help give us more points at the end of the game for having the most coin power on our hero cards and our excess coins. But I think let's spend it because potentially sending out another governor might be a stronger move. So we'll place this one out. And I figure we'll go down over there so that we gain 2 more in that area and are once again in first place. This means orange can go, and they want this red 3. With this, they are going to recruit and take a couple of rice that they don't actually need. They are regretting maybe putting this here when they could have put something onto that spot that would have helped them out more in this situation. Either way, they have to run with the decisions they've made, and now they are going to start by recruiting. So they can spend 1 rice to move this here and send out a governor. And with it, they will go onto the last governor spot on the purple island. That means they will gain 2 influence. And then they will do this again, which will once again cost a rice. With this, they are going to go to the blue island, which will give them 2 influence, and then they are going to spend 2 rice to do this again, and that is also going to go to the blue island, filling in the last of the governor spots, which will then tie them for the lead with us, and they are winning that tie because we don't have any shadows over here, and they do. At this point, orange has 1 more governor, and they have enough rice to get them recruited, so they can spend the 3, and then they can send this out. And with this, they are going to go to the yellow island, and then that will give them 2 influence there, which puts them in the lead on that spot as well. Next up, orange is going to play a hero card. They need to show 8, and they do have a 5 and a 3. Now, this is simply going to give them 1 popularity point. So they'll go up to 27. So orange is done, and now blue can go, and they've decided to take this green 4. With this, they are going to go hunting for relics, but before that happens, they will reveal this, which shows they need a 9, and they have that, and this will give them 1 coin for every shadow they have in play. Well, they have all 3 of their shadows out, so that means they can take 3 coins. And now they can move their scavenger, but before they do that, I realized I forgot to fill this spot in. So that should have a tile, and that is a blue 3. So they can now move, and they've decided to go up to that green island. And then they are going to spend 1 crystal to discard this blue 3 and this green 2 over to the black market. After that, this needs to be refilled, so we can pull out 2 more tiles, and that is a blue 1 and a blue 2. After that, they have to pick up 1 of these tiles, and they want the blue 1. So we can now refill that in once again, and there's not a whole lot of tiles left in this bag, and that is going to be a red 4. Next up, they want to spend a coin in order to buy from the black market, and they are going to take this green 2. With that, they have completed their 4th relic, so they can flip all of this over and then send this token out to the green island. So they will gain 2 influence there, which pushes them up to 12, and I think we are going to be hard-pressed to beat them on that track now. Next up, blue can move again with their scavenger, and they're going to go to the blue island, and then they're going to pick up this blue 2. After that, this needs to be filled in, and they are going to put a green 1 over there. And then they're going to spend a coin to buy this blue 3. With that, they have fully restored another relic, so they can flip all of these over and then place this out onto the blue island, which means they will gain 2 influence, and that means they are currently tied with the rest of us, and they are actually tied with the orange player since they both have 1 shadow on that island. After that, they can do a bonus action to scavenge once again, and they've decided to head over here to take this purple 1. After that, we have to refill that in with a new tile, and that is a yellow 2. And that's finished up their turn. This means we can go, and we can select from these dice here. And I think we should build, which means we want a red die, and with that in mind, let's take this 4. So we can place this right over here, and then I think we should discard this 7. I know that we have a 7 here, but this just gives us 1 resource, and I don't think we need that. Now, with that discard, we can turn this into a 5, and now we can do this action with the 5, which says we can recruit 1 unit with any resources of our choice. Now, we do have a rice, so I figure let's just spend that to do this 1 recruitment. And with this, let's go to the yellow island so that we are once again just barely in the lead. After that, we can build, and we want to make this radio station. So that is going to cost us 5 of our metal along with 1 crystal, and then we can place this down somewhere, and I figure we'll put it over there. With this radio station, I think let's go onto the very last available building spot on the purple island to gain 2 influence, which means we are once again winning this on the tiebreaker because orange does not have any shadows over there, and we have 1. Well, that's finished our turn, so now orange can take their last action of the game, and they want this red too. With that, they are going to construct, and the first thing they will do is increase their storage size by 2, so this will go up to the 9, and then the next bump is going to turn into 1 point. So they go up to 28. After that, they have decided to discard 3 cards from their hand in order to increase or decrease dice by 3 times. In this case, they are going to make this 5 into a 6, and this 2 will go up to a 4. After that, we can see they have 13 pips, so they can perform this action, and that lets them move a governor once, and they can take 2 resources from the spot they land on. In this case, they've decided to back out of the purple island a bit, which means they go down twice, but they're still in second place. And they will go over here to the yellow island, where they will gain 2 influence, and then they will also get 2 crystals. Next up, they are going to play a hero card, which requires them having a 3, and that lets them draw a hero card, and they can gain 1 medal. After that, they are going to construct, and it appears they have 9 crystals as well as 4 metal. 9 crystals is exactly what they need to build both of these farms, and with each of those constructions, they will also need to spend a metal. Now, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. They can start by spending 4 and 1 in order to build this, and they'll put this bonus over there, and they've decided to place this over here, which will get them 1 crystal. Next up, they can buy this for 5 crystals along with 1 metal, and they will put this bonus onto the last available spot. Remember, you can stack on top of other bonuses, but it doesn't look like anyone decided to do that this game. With this, they will go over here, which will make them 1 coin, and that has finished up their turn. So blue can take their final turn, and they have decided to take this green 4, and the main reason they're doing that is because they want to deny us the ability to do a relic action. They are worried we might be able to restore a relic, which would give us a lot of points and potentially win us one of these majorities, and they don't want us to even have that option available to us. So they can put this right over here, and then they have 13 pips, so they can activate this. Now that means they are going to get 2 coins, and then they will go up once on the track, but that will just turn it into 1 victory point for them, and then they will also draw a card from their deck. So that 1 point will bring them to 22. Next up, blue can produce, and they are going to make a coin, a crystal, some rice, and metal. They will also make metal there, and then over here they will make a metal, and then down here they make 2 more crystals. So they can add all of these resources over here, and then for a bonus action, they can build one of these techno farms. Now that is going to cost 1, 2, 3, 4 crystals and 1 metal, but they can do this at a discount of 1, so they are going to spend 3 crystal and 1 metal to build this farmhouse here. Now they're going to build that up onto the yellow island, which will make them 1 coin. At this point, the final thing they will do on their turn is play a hero card, and this needs a 5, and that will simply increase their storage by 1. Now they are already at the top, so that will turn into 1 more popularity point. That means they go to 23, and they are done with their turn. Well, we can now take the last turn of the game, and I am regretting deciding to be the final player. I didn't think that we would be put in a jam like this, and I don't think we're actually going to have a very impactful last turn at all. So let's take this 4, and then we can place this right over here, and then increase our storage by 1. Then we will draw the top card from our deck, and that's interesting. That lets us move up to 2 towers. Now, we will probably be using one of these later on, and the next thing that we can do is activate one of the village tiles. In this case, I think the best thing for us to do is this one, which will give us 1 coin, and maybe that'll be the difference to get some more points at the end of the game. After that, we can take the Mighty Helmet, and this is worth 2 points at the end of the game, so that is nice. And now we can do bonus actions. This one is going to give us 2 coins, and then we can play a hero card. Now we could play this one because we could discard that card to make this 4 into a 5 so that we can have the 10, and obviously we already have a 3 for this, so we need to figure out which of these 2 cards will be better for us out there with the majorities. Well, we can move this relic, but no matter where we put it, we would be gaining 2 influence or less, and I think this other one is going to be more impactful. So let's play this card right here, and we can move up to 2 of our towers. Now, at the moment, we have 2 towers over here on the green island, and we are essentially guaranteed to take second place. So I figure we may as well move both of these off. So that means we'll go down 4 times. And then we can place this down over here to gain 2 influence, which is huge for us, considering we just went from getting no points to gaining 5. With this last one, let's slide in over there, and we are once again in the lead on that track. And that was a very impactful last turn. So I guess I take it back. It is a good thing that we went last because now our opponents cannot react to the 2 things that we just did. Well, that round is over, so now let's score. As you can see, the first place player will get 5 points, and second place will get 3. So we can start over here where blue is going to get 5 points, which brings them up to 28. And then we are in second place, so we get 3 points, bringing us to 36. After that, on the purple island, we are winning, so we gain 5 points, which brings us to 41. And orange is in second, so they get 3 points, which brings them to 31. Next up on the yellow island, we are just barely winning, which gives us 5 points, so we go to 46. And orange will gain 3 points, going to 34. And on the red island, blue is winning, so they get 5 points, which will bring them up to 33. And then orange is in second, so they get 3 points, so that brings them to 37. Over here, we are now winning, so we get 5 more points, and that brings us from 46 up to 51. And then our opponents are both tied over here because they each have 1 shadow. So that means they split 3 in 2 and round down, so each of them will get a single victory point. After that, each player can take their revenue, and it doesn't really matter what other resource we take since the game is just about to be over, and we are just trying to make sets of 5 non-coin resources. Over here, the blue player will do this as well, and at this point, we are not going to move on any farther because we are at the end of the 5th round and there is no reason to move the starting player token or to buy any heroes. This means the game is now officially over and we can now move into endgame scoring. So the first thing we will score are our restored relics. Now, we were able to restore 3, so we will get 12 points. The orange player only restored 1, so that is 3 points. And the blue player was able to restore 5, so that gives them 25 points. So we go up to 63, orange goes up to 41, and then blue goes up to 59. Next up, we can score our buildings. Now, we were able to build 2 techno farms, so that will give us 4 points, and we got all 4 of our towers built, so that is 7 more points. After that, the orange player got all 8 of their buildings constructed, so that is 13 plus 7 points for them. And lastly, the blue player built 3 farms, so that is 8 points, and all 4 of their towers to give them 7 more points after that. All told, we got 11 points there, so that brings us up to 74. Orange got 20 points, so that will bring them up to 61. And blue got 15 points, which means they are now tied with us at 74. Next up, we can count up all of our excess gold as well as the purchase value for all of the heroes we recruited throughout the game. Over here, we have 16 gold total. In the middle, the orange player has a whopping 29 gold total. And lastly, the blue player has 18 gold total, which means they just barely beat us out. Now, obviously, the orange player has the most, so they will get 10 points. Blue is in second, so they get 5, and we are in third, so we get 2 points. This will bring orange from 61 up to 71. Blue will go up to 79, and we will go up to 76. After that, the player who has the mighty helmet will get 2 points, and that is us. So we are going to go from 76 up to 78. Now, the final thing to score are our groups of 5 non-coin resources. It looks like we have exactly 5, so we get 1 point. The orange player also has exactly 5, so they get a point. And the blue player has 6, so they will get 1 point for this and nothing for that remainder. This means we will all gain 1 point, and these are our final scores. So orange comes in third with 72, we come just barely in second with 79, and blue is going to win this with 80, and that completes one full 3-player game of Daimyo.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this playthrough. We almost got the win there at the end. The blue player should have had 1 more point than it looked like, of course, but our scores were still very close there. Unfortunately, the orange player lagged behind a bit, but I wouldn't say they were too far behind overall. They were definitely relatively close to us. Now, I did try to push different strategies with these players. We obviously went very hard on area majorities, and we got a lot of points from those. We had some very lucrative scoring rounds. The orange player really focused on getting their buildings out, which did okay for them, but was not enough for them to really be viable compared to their other opponents. And then the blue player tried to go very hard on the relics. Now that ended up winning them the game. They obviously won, and I think that worked out very well for them. Getting that many relics completed gave them a ton of bonus points, and of course, they were also able to get most of their buildings out, and we were too. I think that's the big reason why the orange players' focus on getting all their buildings out wasn't as impactful because the rest of us were so close behind in that race anyway. And then realistically, I think the orange player fell behind because they didn't put together relics. I think they only did one throughout the entire game, and those can be worth a lot of points by themselves. But of course, they also really help you vie for those majorities. We got a lot of first place finishes, but I think the blue player got a lot of second place finishes as well, and they were able to combine that along with the majority of the relics that they were able to make. Obviously, they made more than us, and that ended up being able to push them over the edge. It is true that the orange player got a bunch of points for having more coins than the rest of us, but they had a lot more coins than the rest of us. So maybe that was something they focused on a little bit too much because if they had, I think, 8 less coins, they still would have easily gotten those 10 points, and they could have maybe focused on something else instead of having all of those. It's true that most of those coins were in cards, which let them do more powerful actions. And so maybe they kind of faltered there. Maybe I wasn't able to have them utilize the cards that they were getting well enough. I certainly tried to, of course, but it didn't end up being enough for them. Either way, I think this did a pretty good job of showing the game, how each different part worked. And obviously, I tried to go hard on different parts of the game to show them off. And I'm not sure if when playing with other people, I would necessarily do that so much. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of different areas you can focus on in this game, and they all give you points. So yeah, I think that is going to wrap up all of my thoughts on this play. As always, I'd like to thank everyone who's been supporting this channel, including all of these producer-level Patreon backers. If you too would like to directly support the channel and the creation of videos like this one, then please go to johngetsgames.com/support to see a variety of ways with which you could do that. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please click the like button down below as well as the subscribe button for the channel. Thanks for watching.